It's great to have everybody here. My name is Michael Bertoni. I'm the founder and CEO of SaaS Talent and help run this meetup with some awesome people. I recognize some people in the room that help us. Everything's not completely official yet, but we're always looking for sponsors for the event. And John, where's John? Where's John from Dwayne Morris? Is he at the bathroom? So John's here. Dwayne Morris has an IP lawyer division in their company. They're from Philly and they run a national practice. John's here. John, thanks. Gretchen from Broadpath is here. Broadpath is a PR and content marketing agency for SaaS and tech. Gretchen, thanks for coming. And Kevin, where's Kevin? Kevin's here. He's on the opposite end. He's the brains of the operation. And the other person I recognize is Bo. We're finalizing sponsorships. It's not all happening yet, but these guys are the ones that are making this community work. Bo is here from United FX Ventures, and we've got a lot of great people in the room. Thank you so much for everybody for coming. I'm excited to have Jeff Maines here, everybody. I was talking to Jeff earlier today, and Jeff is an extremely humble guy. Jeff, extremely humble guy. And I asked him, I needed to make sure that I could say all the things, but about Jeff. So it started with his friends, a $55 million fund for SaaS startups. So that is no joke. So he's investing in his clients, and he's going to tell you more about that, but he has a fund that he's building SaaS companies. He's had 4 exits from SaaS companies, right, Jeff?
2 SaaS.
2 SaaS, 2 what, tech, software enabled? And then how many again of that you've worked with, that you've invested with, that type of thing again, you said?
40 plus.
40 plus. And then he is operating a SaaS company now. So he's the CEO operating a SaaS company now. And he also runs a SaaS coaching and growth company called Champion Leadership Group. He's one of those people when you think about Elon Musk or something, how does he do it all? How does he do it all? And I got great people running my organizations and running my companies. I'm excited to have Jeff here. He flew up from Dallas to talk to everybody today. He's got a great presentation that we're going to talk about. I'm excited to have everybody here. With that, I quickly wanted Liam. Liam's, am I going to talk today? I got to tell everybody a heartfelt story. So Liam is helping me as a CEO. So one of my biggest challenges in my company is operations and scaling operations, working with customers. And this is Liam's wheelhouse. And I feel we're a yin and yang, and I'm setting this up. Liam, it's exciting. So Liam's my chief growth officer. I hired him, 2.5 months ago. He's 26 years old, guys. He's 26. Do you remember what you were when you were 26? I remember what I was when I was 26. It wasn't mature. I'm 51 now. And it's amazing. So I wanted Liam to introduce himself and then give me back the mic, and Jeff will kick things off.
So I have to give it back after?
You got to give it back.
Yeah, nice to see everyone here. Obviously, we know a lot of each other personally as well. I had a SaaS company for around 3 years. And we raised some money. We had great customers, but AI blew things out of the water, and decided to join Mike here at a meetup that I was invited to support Bo. So the community here works in weird ways, and the next day a LinkedIn message from Mike to go to a Yankees game, and I showed it to my wife and I said, this is a scam. And Mike is one of those guys where it seems a little too good to be true, but then it was, okay, I go to the Yankees game and he's trying to place me at different companies, but then I tell him about what I'm trying to do, and it made sense. And I joined Mike and we defined this role, what I'm doing now. So super excited to be here, helping startups now on the other side, and being able to bring friends from Founder Fridays, Niall, friends from the dog park, Matt, and people, Bo, all together in one room. So that's awesome. So thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, so I want to kick things off and explain what Jeff is to everybody. So Jeff is the quintessential person that we want doing programming here. So the vision of this meetup is to help the SaaS and tech startups, to give great programming and add value. So Jeff is the 3 quintessential things. So Jeff knows how to invest in companies. He's had exits. He's had 4 exits with SaaS and tech-enabled companies, and he's still operating in a SaaS company. So Jeff is one of the humble guy, but Jeff is one of the best people in the country or the world that could help a SaaS startup. No, literally, and no pressure. No pressure, but I am so excited to have Jeff here. He's a friend, he's a great client. So Jeff, take it away.
Thank you. I have definitely have had some great successes. I've made massive mistakes along the way, and no journey is up and to the right. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight, and released a book in August. You have a copy called The Captain's Keys, and this one it's 2-in-1. It is a choose your own adventure book. Anybody remember those being kids? Some of my favorites, and awesome, love it. And it is half content that'll help you grow your business and become an awesome, even more awesome leader. And it is half novel, half story, and both telling the same story from two different sides, right brain, left brain. You get to make your choice. There's one of the first pages in there's how to read this book. You can choose. At the end, you can go on to the next one, or you can skip ahead to the next piece of whatever it is you're reading. Unique in that regard. We're going to talk about this and the 4 people every successful leader needs. Anybody a leader in here? Yes, the answer is yes, you are. No, we lead in lots of different areas, and whether it's part of a title, whether it's part of a business, everybody leads in one way or another. And it could be being a CEO of a household. And moms, some of the best leaders. It could be somebody that is in a middle management role, fantastic leaders. It could be somebody that's a volunteer for an organization, absolutely fantastic leaders. But all of us have gaps in our leadership. And we need other people around us, and it's easy to go, of course we do. But who are those people, and how do we find them? And we're going to talk about that today. Where this book and this idea came from is working with about 1,200 leaders and executives at the top of their game over the past 10, 12 years. And looking at them, some of them did well in some areas of life, and not good in others. And some of them excelled all around. And so there's one of the things I was looking at is why is that? And then in my own journey, there were times where I did well, and there were times that it was extremely difficult. And business is hard. There's no getting around that. One of the things that one of my coaches told me was that if it's hard, maybe you're doing it wrong. And that is one of the things that has stuck with me. And so there were a lot of times where I was doing it wrong. Right. And so we'll talk some about that today. But in the most connected generation ever, we are some of the most disconnected people anywhere, which is odd. Of all the connections and all the people around us. Anybody ever heard the phrase, it's lonely at the top? Why? Because it's freaking lonely at the top. And the higher you rise, the more elite you become and good at what you do, the more that's true. And so in working with, again, executives at the top of their game, A-list celebrities, and having conversations, and people that are surrounded by people, you're like, how could you possibly not be connected? Because you're surrounded by people all the time. And some of the loneliest people, in having those conversations, when we get down to it, there's not anybody that they're that close to. And so how do we solve that? How do we figure that out? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. What do we do with that? Being connected and disconnected all at the same time. CEOs. Employees are lonely in their roles. You've heard of quiet quitting, happens a lot. That's been a lot of the things in the news. CEOs are right there along with them. CEO tenure is at an all-time low. That was true in 23. It was true in 24. And it's also true in 25. That tenure is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And if you're changing the coach all the time, what happens to the organization? What happens to the players? But the greatest predictor of success, Harvard did a study, or they've done multiple studies, but did an article, over a 7-part article about loneliness in leadership. The loneliness epidemic, they did one in 2018, they did another one in 2023, and again in 25. The greatest predictor of success and happiness is not intelligence or experience, which I would think it would be, but it's not. It's the strength of the social support in their network. And when that's not there, things start falling apart. Be great in business and personal life falls apart. Be great at home and things are not working in the business. And what do we do? And so in the book, created a model called the stability matrix. And we're going to look at the 4 people every successful leader needs And on the left side, we'll talk about people that know you personally. They don't necessarily know anything about the business, but they know you well. On the right side, we've got people that know the business well. They don't necessarily have a personal relationship with you, although that can develop over time. On the bottom, this is tactical and it's on the ground. And at the top, strategic and high level. Think of your business as a ship. We use a ship metaphor. And one thing that all ships have in common, could be big ships, small ships, is a captain. The captain is not alone on the ship. There's something more. And so one of the first roles that we'll talk about is an anchor. And an anchor knows you well. They don't necessarily know the business at all. But an anchor is designed to keep you stable, keep a ship stable and able to weather storms. In business and in life, do things always go as we planned? Anybody ever have a plan go right? Anyway, they go wrong a lot. And the greatest plans. And it's one of those things that the storms come, and that's part of life, it's part of business, and entrepreneurs deal with that probably more than anybody else. I was talking to a founder last week, and he's the emotional roller coaster, because I'm the hero, I'm a zero, I'm a hero, this is awesome, I suck. And he goes, and this happens 10 times every day before lunch. I get that, I do. And we need an anchor to help us remind us of who we are when we forget. That our business is not, or our value is not tied up in our business. That's not our identity. We're a lot bigger. Our value is not determined by the latest deal, the latest loss, the latest employee that walks out, the competitor that raised a $50 million round, and we're now what? But our value is so much deeper than that. And our identity is not tied to the business. And it's that anchor that's our emotional ballast that helps us understand where that value is and keep us protected. And the anchor is so important.
You want me to go next?
No, this is good here. Because it's easy as a founder. One of the things that we deal with a lot is self-doubt. And having somebody whispering in our ear and encouraging us all the time, super, super helpful. Because left unchecked, self-doubt moves in, bores a hole in our head and lives in there, and doubt causes drift. And there's times where we need to go find that safe harbor and anchor up and get recharged. And if we don't have that, it's easy to drift off into dangerous directions. Another thing that can happen is we all know the anchor in a harbor that holds a ship. There's also a sea anchor. You can go ahead. And the sea anchor, when we feel the power of a storm, we understand the value of the anchor and the importance of being recharged and doing that on a regular basis. It's not something that we wait till there's a crisis and then decide maybe I should do something about this before things completely spin out of control, but taking that time for ourselves and taking that time and being recharged and refilled. Anybody ever been on an airplane?
Yeah.
Yeah, someone yesterday. And one of the things that they always tell you on the airplane is if those little masks drop down from the ceiling, what are you supposed to do? Yeah, put your own mask on first. Because if you don't do that, you can't help anybody else. And the same thing is true for us as leaders. If we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not recharging, if we're not focused on our own care, then we can't take care of the people around us, whether that's family, whether it's employees, other leaders, people in our community. So we've got to have something in us in order to be able to give. Go ahead. The other anchor, the sea anchor. And that's fine, we can stay there. But the sea anchor is designed for when you're out at sea and you're in rough waters and to stabilize the ship. So there's two things that can happen. One is being refilled and recharged. The other is sometimes when you have some successes, you can get high on yourself. And I've been there and thought I was awesome. And it was one of my anchors, yeah. And doing some things that not necessarily bad, but not in alignment with who I am. It was who I thought I was supposed to be because now I'm successful. And it was one of my anchors that has the ability to speak into my life and go, hey, I think you're showing up in some ways that you wouldn't like. Honestly, like, hey, Jeff, you're being an asshole. And my first reaction was, oh yeah? I'm awesome. You can't tell me that. The reality was, he's absolutely right. And that was a problem. And I was doing some things, and again, not it's bad, but it's completely out of alignment with who I am and who I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up. and appreciative that somebody would step up and say something like that, risk a friendship in order to say, hey, I think some things that are not right here. And it was absolutely true. And you're holding me back. You're jealous, you're whatever. And it wasn't it at all. But that's part of the job of an anchor, is to help us keep us drifting off into places that we have no business being. Much more free to be able to live in alignment with who I am and who I want to be. Not try and be somebody else because I think that somebody else wants me to be, or what success is supposed to look like. Stupid. And coming back, and I think the second person that we need, ships are not designed to stay in harbor all the time. We got to get out there. If we're going to make things happen, we got to get out and get out into the waters. And the second thing that we need is a crew. Super, super important. There's an entrepreneurial myth, you can click it, that we're supposed to carry things ourselves. And if you read some of these up here, you'll probably laugh because you've said some of these things or thought some of these things. I can do it myself, I can handle this. I can't afford to hire anybody. No, if I delegate to somebody else, they're not going to do it as good as me. Anybody ever said that? Yeah. If I want it done right, I have to do it myself. Been there, and that is absolutely a myth. And it's a recipe for burnout. Because if we're doing that, it works for a little while, but it is a recipe for burnout because it works until it doesn't anymore, until we're expended, until we hit our ceiling and we can't, there are only 24 hours in a day. And we can only do so much until we have to ask somebody else for help and get them involved and figure out how do we work together with other people. But trying to carry the load on our own, burnout is absolutely inevitable. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you've built something that I call it being successfully trapped. Then that built a company, and on the outside, it looks good. The numbers were fantastic, and I absolutely hated what I was doing. It was misery because I was trying to carry it all myself, and I wouldn't delegate. But it's easy for entrepreneurs and for us to buy into that myth and think that we're awesome at everything. But little secret, we're not awesome at everything. Not by a long shot. There's only a few things that I'm good at that are in my genius zone. But when I can take things outside of that and delegate it to somebody else and find somebody to come alongside and help build with me, that is in their genius zone, magic happens. And even things that I'm good at or that I can do, entrepreneurs are good at that. I can do it. Doesn't mean I enjoy it, doesn't mean I'm great at it, but I can do it. But when we delegate that to somebody else and that is their genius, it is incredible what happens and how well they do it, even though it's not our way. And that's one of the hardest things for me to do as a leader. If there's one thing that I struggle with, probably more than any other, it is letting go of things. It's just hard. I teach this stuff, and it's still hard for me to do myself. I don't think I've ever let anything go without leaving claw marks all over it. And my team will tell you that. And sometimes, even today, they're like, I've got it. And that's the subtle message of back off. And it's true, what they do. And Teddy Roosevelt said one of the greatest leadership tactics is to find great people to do the things and then don't meddle with them. Leave them alone, let them do those great things. That's pretty good. And we want to avoid that burnout. When you choose a crew is different than employees. Employees are there for a paycheck. Nothing wrong with that. What you're looking for is people that buy into the mission and vision of the ship. If you have a ship, anybody in the Navy? Anybody serve? Nope. Any military at all? That's pretty rare. If you're in the Navy, you're on a ship and you buy into the mission of that ship. Where it's going, you're going. And what your orders are, that's what you do. The same thing is true whether you're on a cruise ship, whether you're on a fishing boat. You've got a mission on the boat, you go out and you catch fish, you catch crab, you do whatever it is that's the mission of the boat. And if you don't buy into that, you're like, yeah, I don't feel catching crab today. Pulling pots, that doesn't sound fun. I'm gonna take today off. Does that work? No. No, it'll probably throw you overboard. It's having that alignment. And the crazy thing is companies grow and scale, alignment looks different. And when you first start out, alignment can look a lot like this, where everybody is in their own boats, maybe it's their own departments, it's their own things, and it's very entrepreneurial, and they're like, this is awesome. When we start companies, a lot of times we want to do it because we're getting rid of the corporate constraints and all that stuff, and it's freedom. This is amazing. But what happens is company will scale far and then hit a wall. And they're very predictable. It happens between 3 and 5 million constantly. Between about 7 million, there'll be another one at 10 million. And every one of those, there are specific strategic shifts to make in order to break past that revenue ceiling. This is one. This happens a lot. Between 4 and 5, so many companies get stuck right here. And it's because it's very entrepreneurial, everybody's doing their own thing, but that's part of the problem, is everybody is doing their own thing. And it's having that true alignment. And so alignment can look like this in the beginning, but you hit a ceiling, you hit that ceiling. And so alignment, what we're looking for is something that looks a lot more like this, where they're buying into the mission and vision of what's going on the boat. And if one of these people decides, I don't feel like rowing today, what happens? Well, the boat's gonna start turning because you got unequal force on the sides. Yeah, if somebody's like, I don't feel like showing up, I don't wanna get up that early and go out there, then nobody's there. Or if you have the coxswain who's designed to set the pace or steer the boat, like, I don't wanna steer today, I'm a passenger. Things don't work, so we have to have that alignment as an organization. So buying into the mission and vision, that they're committed to it, they own it, they embody what it is that you're doing. But they can't do that unless they know what that mission is. Does everybody have a clear mission that you've identified and tell your employees? I mean, if I ask 10 employees, and we did this in our own organization, teach this stuff, and we ask how many employees, we probably get 10 different answers. All right, back to the drawing board. We got to say it over and over and over and over again. If they don't understand and buy into the mission and know what it is, how can they ever achieve that? But when they do, and they all buy into it, that's when we get that alignment and great things start to happen in the organization, because it's not somebody else's problem in another boat, it's our problem together. And that is such a difference in an organization, is to have that, and that's what crew means. Anybody ever been on the ocean, out where you can't see land?
Sure.
Yeah. At night?
Yep.
It's pretty dark out there. And sometimes it is dark, dark. If there's no moon, then it is as dark can be, because all you see in any direction is either black, or if there is light, all you see in any direction is water. And I think the entrepreneurial journey can be like that a lot of times, where we're out there and we're trying to get to a point. We have this 5-year goal, we have a 3-year goal. We set quarterly rocks, and we've got to hit rocks like that. We got our OKRs, but all I see is water. I'm not sure where we're supposed to go. The third person that leaders need is a navigator. And a navigator is somebody that helps the captain see and chart the course. And this is a role that I play a lot with our clients in the Scale Up Accelerator. And somebody that can see around corners, somebody that has experience that we don't have as captains. And it's something I still have navigators in my world that I work with on an ongoing basis. Super, super helpful. But they're the ones that, they don't make the decisions, but they're working along with the captain to help make those strategic decisions. Help steer in the right ways, help avoid obstacles. And that's a big one. I've run into so many things that if I'd had a navigator, I would have been able to avoid. That's the big part about having a navigator and avoiding a hidden crisis. There was one not too long ago, a few years back, and one of my navigators, CFO, that is absolute genius. This guy can see around corners, he's got night vision, he's thermals, he's fantastic. And growth is awesome. We're doing really, really well, and we're having a conversation, and he's, you're gonna run out of cash in 90 days. Dude, what are you smoking? Because look at our numbers. They are the best they've ever been. And he goes, what's your cash conversion cycle? And hang on, I'll be right back. Hey, Google, what's a cash conversion cycle? True. And it was absolutely right. And looking at our numbers, we were growing, and we're about to grow ourselves to death, because what we were spending to acquire customers and our CAC payback time, there's this little gap here. And we're going this, but there's this dip in what we're spending and when it's coming back in. And if growth slowed at all, it would have been a lot less than 90 days. But by him seeing that and having the conversation, and again, somebody that will step up and speak up and say, you're doing something dumb when I'm on top of the world. Don't tell me I'm doing something dumb. But I was. because I didn't know, but somebody could see ahead and could see that iceberg and predict it. And we made a few small changes and we were fine. But if we had not made those changes then, what happens? We get 30 more days down the road. Now the runway is 60 and 30. We could have run right off a cliff, run right into an iceberg if somebody had not stepped up and said that. And navigators, it doesn't matter what level you are, super helpful. And having somebody that has that experience to even know what the hazards were. I couldn't have told you what a cash conversion cycle was. Is that, do we ride that? Is it 800 cc's? What is that? What kind of cycle is that? I could have pretended I. Somebody that will step up and say that is exactly what a navigator does and helps us avoid those obstacles and avoid the hidden obstacles. Because the opposite of that was what many of us do as founders is, I'm fine, I've got this, and we can do that personally, we can do it in business, we can do it in all sorts of different ways. But what happens is when we don't have that in place, then bad things happen. Another example, probably 10 years ago now, a little more, made a strategic hire into delegation. There's a big difference between delegation and abdication. I learned this lesson the hard way of hiring somebody that was supposed to know how to do all this stuff I had no idea about. And I threw it over the fence and all right, go do this thing. And somehow we turned a $15 million revenue stream into a $5 million loss. Legit $5 million in the hole. And the person stealing and doing some shady stuff ended up going to prison over it. Bad stuff. Abdication, bad. Delegation, good. Having a navigator, invaluable. And so the next 2 years were absolute misery in rebuilding that. But extremely painful lesson. The difference between the two. And having a navigator that can help understand what the obstacles were, because I didn't understand ins and outs of that part of the business, and I threw it over the fence and assumed that somebody else was going to take care of it. Bad idea. But had I had a navigator at that point that I could have bounced ideas off of and asked questions of and said, hey, what do you think about this? The checks and balances. I didn't even know. No, up and to the right. That's what's supposed to be good. And we had that for a while. It was good until it wasn't anymore. I'm fine, I got this. That doesn't work. The other reason we need a navigator is that the higher you rise in an organization, the less you see, which sounds weird. But as you rise is a lot more, and you see a lot more maybe strategically. But what happens is you start missing what's going on within the ship itself. We have blind spots. And to have crew and have navigators, so that both people on the right side there, to help provide that information when trouble. They're not happy. When you've got people who are in the organization that are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they're coasting, and other people are, hey, this person is pulling their weight, listening to what's going on inside the organization. And people tell you that because we have blind spots. The more I grow, the more I learn, the more I realize how many blind spots I have. And every time I think I've got one handled, I'll find two more. And that's why I need a navigator to help fill that and see things that I can't see, whether that is about myself or whether it is about other areas of the business. Go ahead. The last one, the fourth one, is one of my all-time favorites. This is what Mike is to me. Go ahead. And that is a champion. Anchor, crew, navigator, and champion. And every time I do this, somebody's, that's not nautical. I get it. The champion is, if you think about merchant ships that explorers, they would sail under the flag of a king or a monarch or a country that have that country's flag. We still do that today. If you're a pirate and you're deciding you're going to attack a ship, let's say 200 years ago, you'd take a look at the flag and decide, do I want to declare war on all of France, or do I want to leave this ship alone? They're sailing with letters of credit. They're sailing with goods. They're sailing under the flag of a sponsor. And that's what a champion is. A champion is willing to raise your flag when you're not in the room. They open doors for you that maybe you don't even know exist. That's one of the things that Mike has done, is stepped up and been that champion. It's hugely beneficial in making introductions. Does Mike introduce you to anybody? Yes. Yeah, a super connector. This is a person that is an outstanding champion. But there's a big difference. There's what I would call a networker, and there's a champion. A networker is somebody who makes that introduction in order to get something from you, or they're the ones that are having a conversation with you and they're talking to you and looking over here and who else can I go see after this? Yeah, whatever, here's my card thing. Where a champion is somebody that is interested in you. Somebody that is interested in what they can give to you, what they can do for you, not what they can extract from you. And that doesn't mean that we don't help each other. I love to give. Don't think that means that I don't want you to extract, because I want to give. But there's a difference in giving and extraction. And we've all been around people at networking events that said that it's not something that is genuine. They're not interested in helping. They're interested in extracting or flying around the room and doing their thing and getting out. But a champion is invested in you. They want to deliver something for you. They believe in you. Again, they know you. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. But they're willing to raise your flag when you're not in the room. They're willing to open doors for you. And that is invaluable. And that's one of my absolute favorite ones, and seeing that. Think about that in your world. Who is it that raises your flag? And maybe you have people, you go, I've definitely got these people, or maybe you look at it and you go, I'm not sure. Whose flag do you raise? That's another one. And we'll talk about how do we fill these gaps. That's an important one. But who is it that does that? Who is it that opens doors? Who do you open doors for? And if you look around this room, I see 35 champions right here. And having a community like this is invaluable in what you can do, because it's not the power of what one person can do, but it's about what we can do together when working. What doors can I open for you? And I love connecting people. One of my favorite questions is, how can I help you? And I can't tell you how many times somebody doesn't have an answer to that. I don't know, introduce me to somebody. And a champion, a networker will say, hey, let me think about it. I'll see who can I introduce you to. Nothing ever happens. A champion goes, and this happened to me 2 days ago. We're having a conversation, and hang on a second. Pulls up his phone and is messaging the person, okay, here it is. I've got it for you, and send it right there on the spot. Made the introduction. That's what champions do, is they make those introductions in the moment. It's trying to figure out, how can I help right now? One of the best things you can do as a leader is have an answer to that question. When they say, how can I help you? Be very, very specific. One of my favorite stories, somebody had a very, very good answer. How can I help you? And he was in quality management. Don't know anything about quality. How can I help you? Is what I'm looking for is a new gig. Been in the musical instrument world for a long time, and I would like to I love guitars, guitar player myself, and we had a great conversation about that. I want to do quality for Fender. Do you know anybody there? I don't know anybody at all at Fender. And so file this away, and who knows? Guitar world is pretty small. Who knows what'll happen? It's about 4 months later, I was sitting on an airplane. No, it's not that freaky. It wasn't Fender. But I was sitting on an airplane with a guy from Gibson. Interesting, tell me about what you do. And he's telling me about a little bit about his experience. And I got somebody I got to introduce you to. I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but you guys would get along well together and make an introduction. So we did that. And they were looking for somebody in a role that was very similar. And he ended up moving to Nashville. Thought he was going to California, went to Nashville, went to work for Gibson, and ran quality there for about 12 years. And absolutely unbelievable, those types of connections. And had he not been very specific about what he was looking for, I had no idea. Anybody in quality, pretty much anywhere, let alone in that world. But had he not been very specific about what he was looking for, that connection never would have happened. But it was something that it worked out in sitting on an airplane next to somebody talking guitars again, and it came up. So you never know where those connections are going to come from or who can make an introduction, whether it's part of their world or not. But when you connect with champions and you're willing to be that for somebody else, again, magic happens. So as we look at the model, anchor, crew, navigator, champion, the question I always get is, this is cool, I buy into it, I want to have all those. How in the world do I do that? Anybody have that question? How? Yeah, that's a big one. Or how do I fill those gaps? I'm good in this area. I think I'm missing that other thing. How do I fill that? One of the best ways. Anybody know Zig Ziglar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Zig from Dallas as well. Go Dallas. He said, if a person goes out to make friends, you'll find them scarce. But if you go out to be a friend, you'll find them everywhere. So one of the best things you can do, how do you fill these roles, is to be that for somebody else. Because the person sitting next to you, the person across from you, the person on the other end of the room, they're looking for those types of roles as well. And when you can be that, if you don't know where to start by being a champion. Find out what it is that they need, what would be most helpful for them. And then think about that. What can I do right now in order to make a connection? I didn't know anybody in quality management. I'm like, cool dude, I'll keep that in mind. But because the guitar connection is really why I remembered it, that's the real deal. But it was something that stuck out. It was a very specific request. Now my antennas are up. Who might I run into? That would be a cool story one day. I never thought it would happen, but it did. These things will never happen until they do. Going out there and being that for somebody is one of the best ways to fill it. Created a leadership connection assessment. You can scan the QR code, you can do that on your own time, but it will take you through questions, and then at the end it will give you an assessment. Where are you strong? Where might you find some gaps in your leadership model? And then it'll give you a 30-day action plan specifically designed for you about how to fill those. This skips the landing page and everything else, takes you right to it. No cost or anything. It's my gift to you. The whole idea is this ending leadership loneliness and isolation and making sure that people are connected in community and have the support that they need, because I want to see leaders succeed. Don't want to see burnout. Don't want to see people in isolation, but connected with other leaders and thriving. You want to contact, everybody get that? If you want to contact me, down there in the bottom right corner, I'm at Jeff K. Mains on all social platforms, and championleadership.com. You can check us out and enjoy the book. Captain Skis talked about that. Small Fish, Big Pond, building a world-class business that swims circles around competitors. Yes, there is a little bit of a theme of nautical and fish and stuff. Very tactical in building a business, and so I've got a dozen of those here as well.
Cool. What we're going to do,